If you've suddenly found yourself as a caregiver, you already know it doesn't ease you in gently. It usually starts with a crisis, a phone call, a diagnosis that just changes everything in a single moment. Okay, so let's dive into that. Let's find some stability in all that chaos.
You know, this quote from Mario Lamuma just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's that feeling of a sudden, unchosen shift. 1 minute, life is normal, and the next, it's something you never saw coming. And that mix of fear and uncertainty? Yeah, that's a feeling so many people share.
So if right now you're feeling overwhelmed, completely confused, and just so unprepared, you're in exactly the right place. This is a totally normal starting point, and we're going to walk through it together. First things first, we have to acknowledge that moment, that sudden shift. Because, let's be real, this isn't some slow, gradual thing, is it? It's an abrupt event that completely redefines your life and your role in it, almost overnight. I mean, just think about it for a second. One day, you're a spouse, a professional, a son or daughter, you're just living your life. And then literally, the next day, you are thrown into this new world of managing medications, making huge medical decisions, and providing daily care you were never, ever trained for. It's a massive identity shift.
And you know what? There's a name for this experience. It's called emotional shock. And I really need you to hear this. Feeling that shock does not mean you're weak. It's just your mind and your heart working overtime to try and make sense of a new, completely unexpected reality.
So let's just take a beat and really try to understand that shock. Because simply acknowledging what you're feeling, that's the first step toward managing it. And realizing that these feelings are a shared, normal part of the process, well, that's incredibly powerful. Do any of these thoughts sound familiar? That little voice in your head saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. Or that constant worry, what if I mess this all up? And maybe even that critical voice that whispers, I should be stronger than this. If you've had those thoughts, you are not alone. That's pretty much the internal monologue of every single new caregiver. Okay, here is a really powerful way to reframe that fear. It is not a sign that you're going to fail. It's a signal of how much you care. It's a sign that you understand the weight of this new responsibility. That fear is there because the stakes feel so high. And they're high because you love someone. It's a sign of love, not incompetence. This leads to a really critical mindset shift. You have to give yourself permission to be a beginner. You are not supposed to have all the answers right now. So let's try to actively replace that thought, I should already know this, with a much kinder and frankly more accurate one, I am learning something new.
All right, we've talked about the feelings, we've shifted the mindset. Now, let's turn that into some real, practical action. We're going to look at your very first steps towards stability, with simple guidance that's meant to reduce your overwhelm, not add to it.
And listen, this might be the single most important rule to protect yourself from information overload. Don't try to learn everything about everything all at once. Just focus on what you need for today, this week. The rest can wait. This is how you stop yourself from drowning in a sea of medical terms and 1,000 what-ifs.
Here are 3 concrete things you can do right now. First, get a notebook, any notebook, and start a care notebook. This is going to be your command center for everything. Second, stop trying to memorize all the medications. Just write them down. Name, purpose, timing. That's it. And third, before you go to the doctor, prep 5 core questions. It'll keep the conversation focused so you get the answers you actually need.
Now, let's talk about family, because you're not an island. But sometimes that's a major source of stress. In fact, when family roles are all jumbled and unclear, it can increase a primary caregiver's stress by up to 40%. 40%. So figuring out who does what is not just a good idea, it's absolutely critical for your well-being.
And that brings us to a huge point. Getting support is not optional. It is not a sign of weakness. It's a protective measure. It's what allows you to keep going for the long haul without completely burning out.
But I know building a support system can sound like this huge, daunting project. So just start small. Ask for specific, manageable things like, hey, can you help with 1 errand a week? Those little bits of help really add up. And most importantly, you have to schedule your own rest. Think of it not as something you earn, but as a non-negotiable part of the job.
I really want you to let this one sink in. Caring for yourself is not something you do after you're done with your caregiving tasks. It is an essential part of the caregiving process itself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. It is that simple.
As we start to wrap this up, let's come back to the most important message of all. You are not alone in this. This journey is just about finding your footing. One day, one decision, one breath at a time. It is not a race, and it is not a test you have to ace.
And if you still have those moments of doubt, just look at this number. Over 70% of new caregivers feel totally unprepared when they start. So that feeling of being overwhelmed, that's not a personal failing. That is the majority experience. It's the norm.
So if you take anything away from our time together, please let it be these 3 truths. Asking for help is an act of strength. Taking time to rest is a core responsibility of this role. And you, the person behind the caregiver title, you matter too.
Remember, this initial stage is all about finding stability, not about achieving perfection. So, looking at everything we've covered, I'll just leave you with this question. What is the one small step you can take today to create just a little more stability for yourself?